Hello, I'm Suzanne Frint of 2130 Partners, a leadership development and education firm, and also co-author of our leadership book called Accelerate, High Leverage Leadership for Today's World. I have some stories and examples for you here on this video of our operating principle, be responsible for creating value for myself and others. The first story, as told by my husband Dwight, my partner, business partner, co-author of my book, is about a 3-weekend course he was attending, personal growth and development course, where the very first morning, mentally he was making the facilitator wrong, making all sorts of judgments in his head about what a jerk the guy was, how he didn't like his style, all sorts of things. Sort of a really judgmental mindset. And by the break, he was busy colluding with other people, asking them their perspective of the morning, more or less making the facilitator wrong. After break, as he went back into the program to begin again, he had an epiphany, or a light bulb went off. His aha moment was that he was creating this negative, disconnected, judgmental mindset that was basically preventing his own learning. And so he realized in that moment that he had a choice. He could look and see what triggered him, what was that all about, and shift into a productive mindset. When he thought about it in a reflective moment, the personality style, the way that the facilitator operated, triggered him into an experience he had much younger in life when that same personality type in a work setting just didn't work for him. And he was bringing that previous experience, we call it digging into your file cabinet brain, that experience into this present moment and then ruining that for himself. So his choice was to be able to leave the course, spend 3 weekends in that sort of a judgmental place, or shift into value production for himself. So he shifted his mindset into one of interest, of listening to the content, to proactively seeing how he might be able to get value from the content and apply it to his own life. Interestingly enough, when he shifted his mindset and his listening, his behaviors also shifted. He became more animated in the course, more engaged, asked questions, more participating in discussions. And also interestingly, the other participants started to shift a bit as well. So his lesson out of that, by the way, he got lots of value from that program and he talks about it to this day. One of the key pieces of value was creating this operating principle. Be responsible for creating value for myself and others. In that example, Dwight took an unproductive, blocking learning mindset that he had and shifted it to a productive learning mindset. He was responsible for creating value for himself. Another story I have for you is one that's been told in many ways, and this is my version of it. That there was a university professor who traveled to Japan to meet with a famous Zen master to be able to learn from him. The professor was very committed to growth and development. And the university professor is chatting away, letting the Zen master know all the different places he's been to in life, all the countries, all the teachers that he's learned from, and going on and on and on. Meanwhile, while the university professor is sharing his path so far, the Zen master is pouring him a cup of tea and continues to pour until the cup is overflowing and tea is spilling on the table. The university professor finally says, "Wait, stop, there's no more room in the cup, it's overflowing." To which the Zen master replied, "And so are you. Come back when your cup is empty. Then maybe there'll be space for you to learn." So this story also exemplifies the principle of be responsible for creating value for myself and others. Our know-it-all, arrogant, yeah, well, what have you got to teach me? Been there, done that, let me tell you what I know, kind of a mindset. Our locked-down file cabinet brains don't allow new learning to come in. So you've got to splash out some of that tea or make room, actually become a receptacle for value. Now the third story I have is an example of how me managing my emotions, being responsible for my emotions, actually helped create value in a meeting. I had a meeting of my team, leading them through a significant hiccup in a important project that we were working on. And in the background, besides being a little perturbed by the hiccup in that project, I also had some personal things that were weighing heavily on me. Some family medical things, some other things that were really, as I said, weighing very heavily. So my mood was fairly stern, and my communication was fairly sharp, and I definitely was expressing emotions of being irritated, frustrated, upset. And I noticed in the conversation that the people around me shut down and wanted to hide out, if not physically, at least mentally. And next thing you know, I was getting defenses and excuses. And I stopped myself for a moment, this piece of self-awareness or self-reflection, and thought about how I was creating an environment that wasn't valuable for any of us. So that when I'm speaking from my emotions, that it often creates those sorts of unproductive emotions. It often creates an environment that is not valuable for others. So I caught myself, I shifted, took a deep breath, blew it out, and said, hey, could we have a redo? I'm really sorry about that. I've got a lot of things weighing heavily in my mind. I didn't mean to bring it into this conversation this way. Can we back it up and look at this problem that we're working with again? So there are several examples. So one more example I'd like to give you of a structural process that can impact creating value for myself and others. I am a speaker for an organization that has groups all around the country and all around the world. And one of the practices that they have is what they call a speaker rating form, speaker evaluation form. It's probably very common in a number of instances of that type. The context that the facilitator sets up for how to use that speaker rating form, though, makes all the difference in the world. For example, I have spoken to groups where the facilitator sets it up that it's your job to rate Suzanne today. It's so important that the other people in our program know how good of a speaker she is or is not, where she needs to improve. So remember, at the end of this presentation, you're going to have that speaker rating form. So the mindset that sets up, what we call the brain priming that sets up for people, is a judging, evaluative, that their job is to judge and evaluate. And largely the value they have at the end of the presentation are their judgments and evaluations. Contrast to that, in terms of setting up the context for a speaker rating form, is, we have a speaker rating form at the end of the program today. We'd love it if you'd fill those out. Your job today is to engage, to be inquisitive, to really get involved in the material, see what you can learn for yourself, what can you take away and use in your lives and your companies, and at the end, we'd like to hear about it on the form. So you can see how those two different contexts, or brain priming, set up value creation for the participants in a different way. So there are some stories. We'd love to hear your stories. For more help or information on this topic, feel free to go to our website and certainly read our book. Thank you.